Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment. 32 teams, 32 days, and today we are talking about the Buffalo Bills 2017-18 NFL season. Remember to head over to sportsfanentertainment.com for the article previewing this Bills season written by an author that is not me. That way you will have a different perspective. And oh, by the way, we now have memberships and forums on sportsfanentertainment.com. So go ahead, go sign up and go take part in some sports discussions. So we're talking about the Buffalo Bills today, and Bills fans, you're not going to love a lot that I have to say today, but hopefully I can convince you why I'm not that optimistic about this team this year. We're going to talk about this team's strengths, weaknesses, give you a fantasy outlook, give you some bold predictions, and then give you my final win-loss prediction for this football team. Let's start with this team's strengths, and it must start with the defensive line. What a defensive line in Buffalo. Marcel Darius, he missed most of last season, but that guy is an absolute beast. Hopefully we get 16 games out of him because that guy is absolutely great. Kyle Williams had a nice bounce back year last year. He is getting older, but he doesn't appear to be slowing down much at all. How about Shaq Lawson, who did not play much last year as a rookie out of Clemson, but this upcoming year he looks to be healthy. He looks to be ready. He's saying that he's going to be comfortable in this Sean McDermott 4-3 defensive scheme. I'm very optimistic about Shaq Lawson and his future prospects. I love that player. How about Jerry Hughes, who should be playing the defensive end position for this 4-3 front? This guy's been a consistent pass rusher for years. I don't love him against the run, but he's definitely good in terms of rushing the passer. I like him there. This defensive line is absolutely stacked. Now, there's a couple clowns like Adolphus Washington that are backing up these guys, but I think overall the starting unit is so strong to where it won't really matter as long as these guys can stay healthy in the front. Look at the next strength, and instead of looking at a position, we're just going to look at the facet of this football team in terms of the running game. I like the running game for this team. I couldn't say running backs, though, because currently you have LeSean McCoy, whom I love. This guy is so great. Why Chip Kelly ever let go of this guy, no one will ever know. This guy is fantastic. But behind him is absolutely nothing. Jonathan Williams, this guy struggled in limited duty last year, and they're talking about Mike Tolbert potentially being the #2 running back in Buffalo. And then also contributing to the running game is Tyrod Taylor, who is almost a lock to give you 400 or 500 rushing yards every season and multiple rushing touchdowns as well. The running game in Buffalo has been great for the past number of seasons. Under Rex Ryan, it was consistently the best, if not one of the top 5 running games in the NFL. You have to love the running game in Buffalo. We look at the weaknesses of this team, though. To me, it starts at the safety position. Now, it depends where Micah Hyde is going to play primarily. For the Packers, he played primarily, I'd say, at corner, but he would just play both corner and safety. So it depends where you want Micah Hyde, who you signed from the Packers. But overall, still, I think this safety position is a weakness. Bakari Rambo, look, I love the guy's name, but he hasn't really impressed me at all. You signed Jordan Poyer from the Cleveland Browns. He was a perennial disappointment for them. I don't love the safeties there, whether Micah Hyde is playing primarily safety or cornerback. I don't love them. And then also outside of that, I don't love the wide receivers on this roster. Now, I'm a big Sammy Watkins fan, proponent, fanboy, whatever. I think this guy deserves a long-term deal. But he can't stay healthy. He missed 8 games last season. He missed 3 games the year before that. And his best season in the NFL yet was where he barely passed 1,000 yards. Now, I think that's going to change this year. I think this year he'll be healthy. He'll be motivated. He'll be great. But thus far, he hasn't quite lived up to his potential as a #4 overall draft pick in the 2014 NFL draft that was so stacked. Guys like Odell Beckham and Mike Evans went behind this guy. He needs to step up his game. I know you drafted Zay Jones in the 2nd round out of East Carolina. I like Zay Jones, but he's a rookie. Expecting this guy to produce anything more than 600 or 700 receiving yards as a 2nd round rookie wide receiver is expecting too much. Maybe he'll get 800 at most, maybe 900 if he's lucky. We're not going to have a 1,000-yard receiver out of the gate in Zay Jones. And then behind those guys, Corey Brown, Corey Philly, whatever he wants to be called, that week Brown, Brown. This guy's okay, you know, but the Panthers, they're not missing this guy. They're not crying because Corey Philly Brown left the building. Outside of this guy, there's not anything. Walter Powell, Brandon Tate. I hate the wide receivers outside of the top three, and even the top three aren't great, right? So if Zay Jones can really step up, then perhaps it'd actually be a good unit, but for right now, it just looks really below average in the NFL. How about the linebackers? I don't love the linebackers now. Now they're talking about moving Jerry Hughes and Lorenzo Alexander, you know, moving them around in the linebackers and the defensive line a little bit, but the true linebackers in this unit, Reggie Ragland, Preston Brown. Preston Brown, this guy's not very good. I know he racks up some tackles every year, but that guy's not very good. To me, you're going to miss Zach Brown. And Reggie Ragland has been injured, didn't play last year. We'll see what he can do this year, but apparently he hasn't been too impressive in camp because they're talking about moving him from middle linebacker to strong side linebacker, where to me he will find some success, but he's not great at rushing the passer. You do want him closer to the line of scrimmage because he's not great in coverage either. But he's just kind of limited. He's a throwback linebacker, so I don't love the linebackers in this unit for the Buffalo Bills either. For the positions that are neither strengths nor weaknesses, we'll start at the quarterback position. I don't want to say Tyrod Taylor is a weakness because, look, although he won't throw for many passing yards, although he won't, you know, really throw for many touchdowns, he's not going to turn the ball over either. For me to say your quarterback is a weakness, it's because he's turning the ball over too much. And I just can't say that for Tyrod Taylor. I can't say that for Blake Bortles. I can't say that for Brock Osweiler last season. Now that's a quarterback weakness. This is just a quarterback okay. So I can't say it's a strength or a weakness, but I'd like to see him, you know, take a step forward, as would they. I just don't think we're going to see it. How about the tight ends? You know, to me, the tight ends are a little below average. I mean, Charles Clay is okay. Nick O'Leary, more of a blocking tight end. To me, he's been a disappointment out of Florida State when he played with Jameis Winston. I could have said this was a weakness, but I decided to let it slide. I want to see a little more out of this unit, though. The offensive line, though, I wanted to say strength. I think it's actually pretty good. Cordy Glenn, Richie Incognito, who's done bullying people, Eric Wood, John Miller, but the right tackle position is a question mark. Jordan Mills, honestly, he stings, but they drafted Deion Dawkins in the second round, at the late second round, out of Temple. This guy could start and do well, but I thought he was more of a guard coming out of Temple, so I want to see him at right tackle before I think he's good. And Eric Wood last year, he ended up, I think he broke his fibula last year, so is he healthy? Is he still good? We'll see. This offensive line could definitely be a strength, but I couldn't quite go there for this unit. We look at the cornerbacks, and to me, it's right in the middle right now. Ronald Darby, last season to me was not as good as his rookie season. I liked his rookie season a lot. Who didn't? Last season wasn't great to me. Can he truly be the #1 corner for this unit now that they're missing Stephon Gilmore? We shall see. You drafted Tre'Davious White in the first round after you traded down from number 10 to the number 27 overall pick. Tre'Davious White, I like him, right? He has some decent length, has some decent size, very good corner, can play in the slot, can play outside. Let's see what he can do. But outside of those guys, Kevin Seymour, he's just been okay. Sharice Wright, he's a journeyman at this point. I don't love the cornerbacks outside of those guys. You're going to miss Stephon Gilmore quite a bit to me. I think you're really going to miss Stephon Gilmore. Okay, so now let's look at the fantasy outlook for the Buffalo Bills this upcoming season. Tyrod Taylor, this is going to shock you, but let me explain why in a little bit. Just bear with me for a second. I only have him down for 2,600 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 450 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns. I will explain why later, but yes, these are low stats. You'll understand why in a moment, just in case you haven't figured it out already. LeSean McCoy, 280 carries, 1,200 yards, and 8 touchdowns. This is about what you would expect from LeSean McCoy. I expect him to get more carries this year, but I think he's going to have a lower yards per carry. Last year was ridiculous. 5.4 was insane. He has to come back down to about 4.5. If he stays over 5, that would be fantastic, though. Sammy Watkins, I'm expecting a big year from Sammy Watkins. Contract year, time to show up, time to prove your worth to this franchise, to the NFL. Whether or not the Bills want you or not, you can get paid elsewhere. elsewhere. So I have him down for 75 catches, 1,100 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns. Those would be great stats. This could be a large market share of the receptions and of the yards for this Buffalo Bills passing game, because this is a lot for Tyrod Taylor and or Nathan Peterman. We get into my bold predictions for this team. Let's start with Nathan Peterman. The reason why I have Tyrod Taylor getting those low stats, I have Nathan Peterman starting in December. My prediction is by week 15, Nathan Peterman will start. He's going to take at least 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 games away from Tyrod Taylor. The Bills proved to me last season, at the end of the year, they don't care for Tyrod Taylor. And they've really been proving that in the offseason as well, as they don't re-sign this guy to nearly as much money as the other franchise quarterbacks in the NFL get. And they always talk about him, and they're not being very committal with their words. I have Nathan Peterman, the rookie out of Pittsburgh, taking over the starting job for Tyrod Taylor by week 15. We'll see what he can do. I'm not a big Nathan Peterman fan, but the Bills aren't a big Tyrod Taylor fan. Bold prediction number 2, Sammy Watkins contends for the Pro Bowl. Now, it depends whether or not the stupid voters, in the NFL fan bases, whether or not they vote for him, but I think you're going to look at Sammy Watkins' season and say he deserved to go there. We'll see if he can actually get in. And Shaq Lawson, I have him down for 8+ sacks in his sophomore campaign, and really solidifies himself as probably being a good pass rusher in the NFL, and then in the future could be a Pro Bowl pass rusher in the NFL. Now we look at the schedule and it is brutal, and this is why, Bills fans, I am not optimistic about this team. Beyond the roster holes and the roster issues, it is this, and I'm seeing some Bills fans predicting playoffs with this schedule. Let's talk about it. First of all, you're in the AFC East again. Now, this is not a tough division, and yet you had all sorts of problem with it last year. Now, you beat the Patriots last year, but come on. It was because Tom Brady was not playing. Jacoby Brissett's magic ran out, and you were able to beat the Patriots 16-0. I'm willing to say, as hopefully you Bills fans are too, you're not beating the Patriots this year. 0-2 against them. The Jets beat you last year, week 17, 30-10. Now, yes, that was a Cardale Jones game, and Cardale Jones isn't here anymore, and he stunk that game. He was awful. But even though the Jets are gonna stink, and they're gonna stink, they could upset you. Now, I'm gonna give you a break, and I'm gonna say you're gonna sweep the Jets, but I don't even love saying that, because even though, if you actually pay attention to teams that stink in the NFL, and I have, because I was a fan of the Tennessee Titans, I still am, but I was a fan of them during their 2014 season. Teams that stink beat somebody, right? If you went 2-14, you beat 2 teams, and usually 1 or 2 of those 2 teams were in your division. So even though the Jets may go 1-15 or 2-14, they probably won a game in their division, and that game, if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be you. So I'm looking out for that. And then the Miami Dolphins. Did they sweep y'all last year? Now this year, I think you'll beat them once. So be careful though. But I'm saying at best, it's 2-4 in this division. I mean, I say at best it's 3-3 in this division, but honestly, I think it could be 2-4. So look out for that. Then outside of your division, oh my God, you go up against the AFC West and the NFC South. 2 of the top 3 divisions in the NFL. Okay, this is a problem. The Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, and Raiders, to me, are all better than you. Every single one of them. The Chargers, some of you will disagree. On paper, they're better, period. They have a new head coach in Anthony Lynn, who's going to come over there, and to me, it really helped change things. I think each and every single one of those teams are better than you. NFC South, I think each and every single one of those teams are better than you. Now, the team I think you could beat is the Saints, because you host the Saints in Buffalo in November, cold. Saints, not going to do great there. I think you can win there. But outside of those 2 divisions, I think you'll be lucky if you go 3-5. I have you down for 1-7. I just don't see it. How are you going to beat teams out of the NFC South and the AFC West? What one team are you better than definitively in either of those divisions? You're not better than the Saints, Panthers, Bucks, Falcons. You're not better than the Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, and Chiefs. I just don't see it, and how could you? So that's big problems. And then outside of that, you guys go up against the Bengals in Cincinnati. That's an L to me. And then you guys also go up against the Colts, hosting the Colts. Andrew Luck goes on the road and he beats teams. Now, this game is 50-50. Maybe I'll give it to you. Okay, so fine. So when we look at the win-loss predictions for this team, let me tell you right now, Bills fans, I'm sorry. Best case scenario is 8-8. The schedule, look at this schedule. NFC South, AFC West, and even in the AFC East, which is a pretty easy division, you have your problems. You beat the Patriots last year only because, again, Jacoby Brissett was the starting quarterback. And also, this is what concerned me about the Bills last season. Let's look at who the Bills beat last season. They beat the Arizona Cardinals. By far your best win, by far. You beat the Patriots with Jacoby Brissett. You beat the 4-12 LA Rams. You beat the 2-14 San Francisco 49ers. You beat the 6-9-1 Cincinnati Bengals 16-12. You beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, who were 3-13, and you beat the 1-15 Cleveland Browns. All you did was beat awful teams. That's all you did. You got swept by the Dolphins. You lost to the Jets. You lost poorly to the Patriots. Your more impressive loss was to the Seahawks and to the Raiders. I mean, so now that the schedule is going to have such an increase, I cannot buy the Bills this year. And also this, look at the Bills' recent history in their franchise. Since 2011, here are their records: 6-10, 6-10, 6-10, 9-7, 8-8, 7-9. Why should I pick a win record outside of that range? Why? And in the past 3 seasons, you've gotten worse, worse, worse. Why should I say, okay, now you're going to be good? Well, why should I say Sean McDermott, he's going to really help change this in year 1? I don't see it. Worst case scenario to me with this schedule, 4-12. And it wouldn't be the worst 4-12. It'd be a 4-12 similar to the LA Chargers at the time, San Diego Chargers in 2015. To where you lose a bunch of close games, but you lose games and you go 4-12. And my prediction is 5-11. Because I just cannot go through this schedule. Every time I do it, I can't go through the schedule and honestly find more than 6 wins, and that tells me I gotta predict 5. Okay, maybe the Bills could be a scrappy team under Sean McDermott and they can upset the Raiders, and they'll upset the Panthers, and they'll upset this team, and they'll upset the Patriots. But I just can't see it. And I think that Week 17 game was a microcosm of what we're gonna see from the Bills this season, and that's just not a very good football team. But there is a lot of hope indeed. Maybe Nathan Peterman's very good. And guess what? Now you have 2 first-round picks next year. Hopefully the Chiefs stink, right? Maybe we're wrong on them and they stink. And even if they're not, hopefully you stink. You can go 5-11, have a top 10 draft pick, and have a pick in the middle of the first round, maybe late in the first round, via the Kansas City Chiefs. And you could really start to rebuild this team under Sean McDermott's image. But I just cannot pick the Bills to do well this year. The schedule is too tough. You didn't beat anybody last year. Didn't beat anybody. And I just cannot go on board saying, okay, now the Bills are going to be something different than they've been for the past, 12 plus years. I just can't do that. And I don't know how anyone can. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the Buffalo Bills 2017-18 season. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. Remember, again, head over to sportsfanentertainment.com for the article previewing the Bills. And until next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment. And I'm out. See you all later.